So let's talk real men for a little minute. Let's dive into that. And like that weird, you heard the term, you hear it a lot. Plies used to say it back in the day, but it's been a term used, I would say, from the 90s on up, maybe the 80s, I don't know. But real NIGGA, right? Like, I'm not sure you could say it on YouTube, at least within the first minute. But basically, I want to talk about how fake all that is, right? So I'm going to be kind of low on the volume because my son is asleep right there, moving his little hand and all that. He's 4 years old, so I'm trying not to wake him up. But I've been thinking a lot about that. That term, real NIGGA, that's really caused a lot of young black men to crash out. You know, trying to live up to some sort of stereotype, um, thinking that that's part of the black experience, right? The way I see it is other cultures, they kind of look at, they have a real man kind of thought process. So instead of thinking about a real NIGGA, you think about a real man. Well, unfortunately, real NIGGA comes from sort of the underworld. Um, it has a negative connotation to it because, I mean, honestly, it comes from the underworld. The dope boys and the hustlers and the players and the PIMPs and all that used to use that terminology. The street cats use that terminology, right? And I'm aware you could use it many different ways. You really can. But in theory, when a person hears it, the first time it hits you in the ear, you look at it as almost like you're saying you are a tough person, right? Meaning you don't take no, you don't take no stuff, and you'll hop out there in the streets and get busy the way you know what I'm saying, if need be. Or you go out there and just do whatever you want all the time. You just run around aimlessly till you get locked up. So there's different levels to take it. The term, I'm 36, and the term now is fading away from me. I was a person that used it for many years, and my peers around me did too. But as I get older, I see the poison behind it. Let me take you to an example of something you might have seen. Right, you remember Jay Morant, the whole scenario with him shooting a gun or him having a gun and everything. Everybody has something to say about him doing it, and he's not going to use it. He's not built like that, and he's not. Two things wrong with that. The first thing is, why are we putting him in a situation where he feels like he has to prove himself to the world? That's how a lot of black men crash out. You ever heard the term "say I won't"? Or you're not gonna do it. You ain't gonna. You know what I'm saying? And that is something that we do when we challenge people. You're not built like that. That's not you. You're not like that. That is saying you're not tough. You won't do this. You don't have enough heart to do X, Y, and Z. Right? That's trying to. That's basically you're trying to egg somebody on to do something negative, to crash out. The end effect generally is they do it. Then when they do it, they go to jail or something happens to them. And then 30 days later, you don't even remember it happened and you go about your merry life. The people telling you that you won't do it, those are the people that won't do it. They're smart. Some of them are smart enough not to, right? You're not built like that. Here's the thing about built like that. I've ran around, I've rubbed elbows, rubbed shoulders with some people that maybe you would never want your kids to be around, right? Maybe you would be scared to be around them. You get what I'm saying? And I can tell you one thing, nobody is built like that. People are made to be that way. You get what I'm saying? You don't come out of your mom and ready to get down. You learn things, and unfortunately, your mind changes. And you go through maybe traumatic experiences, or maybe you have excuses, right? But you go through traumatic experiences and you do something. The people that are built that way are the people you hear about that you watch on, like, CSI. They're built like that, right? The people that you've killed 52 people in 1 year, and now they write books about you. They're built like that, right? Because they have a mental issue, it's not normal to aimlessly take lives or to aimlessly hurt people for no, like, it's not normal to do that, right? What can happen is maybe you're angry, and you get around some people that are angry too, and it pushes you kind of into an underworld. You have issues happening to you in your childhood, something traumatic maybe happens to you. Maybe you took a loss. Maybe somebody tried you. Maybe somebody egged you on and said that you're not a man, right? Or you're not a real NIGGA. And if you were a real one, you would go do that, right? You never hear that same term used when you're talking about a real man, right? You're not a real man if you don't take care of your kids, right? If you have the ability to, if you have the ability to take care of your kids and you don't, then you can say you're not a real man, right? You sitting here watching kids grow up and just thinking, whatever. You know what I'm saying? That's not a real man. You don't protect your family. That's not a real man, right? So we can go down a list of that. Same thing you do with real women, right? Women can kind of create that list and go down that for themselves. But um, these are all things that can be this. Those are real man things, right? But if you think about it, the only real stuff, the only real important quality things like that people really need to be focused on, those are in terms of men, are the things that involve you being a real man, right? I have never been excited for somebody that went to jail for something, right? Because they're not excited. I've been excited when they come home. And when they come home, a lot of times they flipped and changed their mindset, right? They did what they had to do in there, and they get out and they go, man, I didn't make any money. I didn't make the money I wanted to make in there. I didn't see my girl. I didn't see my kids. Maybe they had kids. They lost family members. They lost time. Everything moved 100 miles an hour, and they were in there moving 2 miles an hour, right? I got people that went to jail when I think maybe the second iPhone was out. The iPhone, I don't even know if the iPhone is an iPhone 16 now. You get what I'm saying? I'm not an Apple user, but you get what I'm saying? Like, they had to, like, there's so many things. That's a small part of it, but they lose friends. People stop writing them. People don't contact them no more. They see things in there that change them, right? There's a lot going on. So I would be doing myself a disservice if I didn't tell you that I learned from other people's mistakes too, right? I'd be playing in my friends' faces if I got on here and was acting like, oh yeah, real NIGGA. Woo. We talked about that in the rap a lot. We did what we did, right? Um, but what it comes down to is, what did you learn from that lifestyle? What did you do? What did where did that path take you? And if you see people take that path and they run into a brick wall with it, why do you then hop on that same path, right? While they're in jail, they don't want to see you do that. Your mom doesn't want to see you do that. Your dad doesn't want to see you do that. Your grandma, your grandpa, whoever, your friends, people that love you, people that care about you don't want to see you do that. You know that. That's not anything that people don't know. But I want to get rid of the term real NIGGA and all that. Real one, I'm 50-50 on that. But as a man, as a man, I'm telling you that term and egging people on, like I said, for example, with Jay Morant, right? We egged him on. You ain't gonna do nothing with that gun. You're not built like that. Well, do we want him to go do something with that gun? Is that what we want? Do we want him to go, you know, uh, pull up on somebody and air their whole car up? Is that what we want? Or do we want to tell him, hey, you don't have to do that? I don't care if you're about that life or whatever. I don't know him. What I do know is that he's doing way more positive in sports, right? Do what's supposed to do, what makes you happy. Do what God, what I mean, got set in your on your path, right? Hopping out of cars and airing stuff up. You got people that are becoming rappers, right? And different musicians, and they can't leave that mindset alone. They can't leave that environment, right? and they keep messing up. But there's people back in their environment that say, man, if I can get out of this environment, I'll never look back. But you got these dudes running around here. You get what I'm saying? And usually it's because once you leave out of that environment, somebody wants to test you and see if you're still about that life, because that's how they're raised to do it. That's how it works in that in that environment, right? It's a constant test. It's always looking to see if somebody's weak. It's a constant, um, people don't talk about it, but it's a constant keeping up a certain energy. You get what I'm saying? They'll try to test you. You lose friends, you lose to jail, you lose them they pass away, you know. Um, you lose them because they betray you. Um, you lose them because two people was messing with the same girl and somebody got jealous, right? You lose people for a lot of different things. And a big portion of that is somebody trying somebody, or somebody saying that somebody expecting somebody not to be about that life, right? Or not be with whatever. We have a term called with the shit, right? So if you're not with the shit, da da da, right? So we have a lot of different terms. Everybody got their own terms, but it mean the same thing. You're not about what you say you're about, or you're not about X, Y, Z, right? And in reality, it's left the hoods of America, and it's moved into um, the majority of young black people's kind of vocabulary, their mindset, right? And now you have black people who weren't raised in those environments, or didn't live in them environments, or nothing like that, never saw anything that had to do with any of that, right? And I'm looking at them on YouTube and different things, and they're having to young black men, young men, right? They're having to abide by those rules. And now you're making somebody do something that isn't really, you know what I'm saying? But they feel like you're challenging their manhood, and they feel like you're challenging who they are as black people. And remember, the black experience is the black experience. And unfortunately, these issues are moving into the black experience. So that's what you're seeing when you see, people go, you're not really about that life. And then you find out they weren't, because they weren't, right? That wasn't what you know what I mean? So it's a tough one to see. And I see it a lot, and people don't talk about it. But like I said, Jay Morant is a good, you know, uh, like example of that. You get what I'm saying? So I just wanted to get that out there, y'all. The black experience is not a monolith. It's not one experience, but it does not have to do only with the streets. So you don't need to run around and do the type of stuff that we see a lot of us doing, right? Or, a lot of us watching, a lot of y'all watching, or, as well as myself, we've all done stuff that wasn't necessarily something we would be proud of, right? But it shouldn't. I don't want it to be you finding out at 36, right? Or you finding out in your 30s or 40s or 50s that that's not the only thing out there, right? There are a lot of people that are in this because they have to be in this, um, and because through life took them in twists and turns, right? And put them on a path where they they don't feel like they have any other option, right? They got to do what they got to do. Some people do it because it's all they know. All you know is a cop out, right? Because you let the world tell you can't do anything else. Um, or they're doing it because it's cool, right? It's fast money, or it's fast this, whatever. And unfortunately, those people are louder than the people that say, do what you need to do, right? They might say, go to school, right? They might say, buy stocks, right? They might say, um, anything like that. They tell you that they try to lead you onto a path of righteousness. I remember I had a talk with somebody, another black man, right? And he was telling me about how he was shooting dice with some of his friends, right? So he's shooting dice. I think they might have been shooting dubs is the term we use in California, right? Shooting dubs, right? So they're shooting for $20, and he's still asleep. Yeah, they're shooting for $20, and he was telling me how Then he ended up side betting, right? He made a little money off that. Cool. And I'm listening to it, and I go, "Hey, bro, have you ever thought about like stocks and all that type of stuff?" And I didn't say bonds, but like stocks and mutual funds and all that type of stuff, right? And he was like, "Nah." He was like, "That's like gambling, though, right?" And so first I thought he was joking, right? Because he just finished telling me how he was shooting dice. And I looked over at him and his face was straight like this. And I was like, yeah, you talking about how you was shooting dice gambling? And he was like, nah, that's I'm shooting dice. Like I know what it is. And I go, oh, so you win every time, bro? He was like, nah, but like I'm gonna win more times than I'm gonna lose. I said, okay, well, I'm not the greatest shooting dice, right? I can't shoot with the best of them. I know that. So I'm off in a jump down that rabbit hole with him. But I'm like, oh, you if it's a dub for you, if you get the dub every time, hey, that's more power to you. But that what he told me when he said that to me, I realized I didn't look at it like, oh, this guy doesn't know what's going on with stocks. I looked at it as he represents a bigger community, right? And the vast majority of us don't seek any sort of extra knowledge on certain things, right? So we kind of focus on whatever the mass kind of focuses on. So that's one of our issues, right? So I explained to him about stocks and all that and how they're actually safer than gambling, right? Um, and it can be worse. Gambling can be worse. It just depends on how you, right? But you have information you can learn about a particular company to invest in. You don't have the ability to learn information on each person that you're gambling with, right? Or you're shooting dice with, right? It's not the same thing. The information is not like you can learn, if a company's on an uptrend, if they're making more money, you can look at their projected sales, different things like that, right? See what they're saying in the news. You can't do that when you go meet the homie and you know what I'm saying, and go shoot dice with him. You don't know what he got up his sleeve. He can have fake dice. You don't know. Matter of fact, you got to get hit a couple times for you to, you know what I'm saying? So, um, I say all that to say it's a mindset thing when it comes to, a real one and real NIGGA and all that type of stuff. Like that's all a mindset thing. And it's something that we teach each other. And unfortunately, it's made its way into mainstream black culture and it doesn't apply to everybody's lifestyle. And unfortunately, it's starting to, right? Like I said, John Morant was a basketball player. He's not out here just shaking and rolling in the underworld. That's not what he's doing, right? Now, granted, running around with a gun and flashing it and brandishing a weapon and all that weird stuff, that type of stuff is not what I'm saying, it's not positive and conducive to his future, right? But at the same time, when he's what I'm saying, young, but when you and he ran into some money very quick, right? But egging him on and saying he's not about this and he ain't gonna do this, you ain't gonna do that. Like that's not gonna take. We got as a people, we need to stop saying stuff like that because all we're doing is making somebody feel like they have to crash out for their dignity. And when you crash out for your dignity, you're gonna go to jail. And when you get out, people are gonna be saying, "Oh man, you threw your life away." That's what they're gonna tell you. They're gonna look you in your eye and tell you threw your life away, and not think two ways about it. Even though they was on the internet, on the timelines, commenting under your video saying, "Oh, I'd have never let nobody do that to me." You never could even run into that situation because you you're never out there, right? It's not something that you have to worry about. So it's just annoying that people have that going on, and it's annoying that that's a thing in the community. But I'm gonna holla at y'all. I just wanted to run that past you, man. Um, a real nigga is not a real thing. We need to start worrying about being a real man and putting foot to pavement and really standing on all 10 and supporting communities and uplifting communities, man. But I'm gonna holla at y'all.